Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 5. In this lesson, before we start this lesson, we'd like to welcome our colleague Mr. Salih Al-Ujan, the interpreter to the sign language. Let's start our class today, as always, by reviewing the objectives of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, inshallah, we are planning to achieve the following. Number one, we're going to answer some comprehension questions based on reading. Also, we are going to identify some comparative and superlative forms in the context. Okay? Now, as you know, we are at Unit 6 now. We started the unit in the previous lesson. We're going to have some discussions about how to make a good pair work after we read the main theme of this unit that was in lesson number 1 or section number 1, listen and discuss. You remember in the previous lesson we talked about 5 different cities and we compared these 5 different cities. In this lesson we are planning to introduce some activities and how to apply what you have read in these 5 paragraphs. Okay, before we start this pair work, let's make a quick revision on the previous lesson, which was listen and discuss. You remember in the previous lesson, as we said, we discussed the quality of good cities, how to choose the good city or how to choose the good neighborhood to live in. You remember from the previous lesson, we gave you some options. You will choose according to your desire or the things that you like more than the other. And we started on this slide, quality of life indicators. What are the things that you think from your own opinion that indicate this neighborhood to become better, to be considered as good, or the city as considered a good city? What do you look for in a town or in a community? If you want to go to a city or a town and you want to think or to judge this city, what do you think the best thing or the things that you need to have in this city? Check the indicators that are important to you. You make a tick for the things that you think they are important to you. Of course, what you want is different than what your other classmates or what other friends like from the characteristics of the city or the neighborhood. If you want to go to this place, do you think cost of living is important or not? If you think it is important, you check. Okay, so how much you have to pay for living there and how much the prices are there. If that is important, you check here. Cost of housing. Do you think that the cost of housing is important? Do you think the clean air is quality, or the clean air and air quality is important to you? It means we talk about pollution. Okay, low crime rate. Do you think that you need to go to a more secure area? The safety there is more than any other area. Also, do you think that the green area is important to you, like having landscapes of green areas and having areas with many trees and so on? Hospitals. Do you think that hospitals are important to be close to this area or existing in the city or the town that you want to live in? Are schools important to you? Do you think that you need particular schools to be available there? And also public transportation. Public transportation, we talk about cars, we talk about taxis, we talk about trains, buses, and so on. Are they important to you? If they are important, you can tick here. Okay, and also at the end, culture and recreation. Is culture and recreation the things that the kinds of amusement, are they important to you? If so, you can tick here, like this one, green areas. This is what one of your classmates answered. He thinks or she thinks that green areas are important to her or her. Cost of living is important, how much they pay for things in that area. Also clean air quality, is it important or not? public transportation also is considered as important. Culture and recreation also is considered as important. Also in the previous lesson, when we had the reading in the 5 paragraphs or 5 articles, we have underlined the comparative and superlative forms in the article. Like what? If you still remember from passage A, we underlined the superlative form, the most efficient. When we talked about the train, we said that it is the most efficient train ever. That means it is efficient. That means it is punctual, arriving in time and leaving on time. Also, it is very good quality, and we describe it as, in general, it is efficient, but not only efficient, the most efficient. So here we use the superlative form. When we compare the airplane to the airplane to the train, we found out that they are both expensive, the same price. So we said as expensive as. When you want to compare two things having the same quality of things, we say as expensive as. Also, we use the short adjective, the comparative form of the adjective short, and we use it as shorter. Okay. Also in passage B, we talked about the city, and we said it is the safest. It is not only safe, but it is the safest. Okay. And we take about the crime rate, and we say it is lower than Singapore. When we said we compare Hong Kong to Singapore, we said that it is lower in crime rate. Also, we use the superlative, the oldest, the largest, and we use the as quiet as. Okay, we use the oldest to consider something as older than any other, of comparing to other. We use it as superlative. We say the oldest. Large, not only large, larger than any other, so it is the largest. Okay, as quiet as. Also, we talked about Cambridge University and said that area is quiet, and it is as quiet as before, and we compared it using the same quality. Also, we use the adjective bad, but we use it in the superlative form as the worst. It's not only worst, but it is the worst. Okay. And also we answered some comprehension question. If you still remember, in Japan, trains are less expensive than planes. And we decided that this statement is false. Why is it false? It is false because the trains are as expensive as planes, because it is very fast. It runs 300 kilometers per hour. So it is very fast. So it is as expensive as planes. Also, this sentence, the trains in Japan travel at a speed faster than sound. Is this statement correct or not? Faster than sound? No, it's not correct. Okay, because it travels, as we mentioned, we call it the bullet trains, travel 300 kilometers per hour, and this is not faster than sound. Okay, and in number 3, the crime rate in Hong Kong is as low as Singapore. The same. That's a true statement. And also, Cambridge has a lot of green areas, but noise is a problem. Is noise a problem? No, it's not a problem. Actually, it's not that much noise. Noise is not considered as a problem. There is a problem, not as quite as before, but still it's not considered as a problem. The traffic in Mexico City is much worse than in Sao Paulo. Is this statement true? That is true. It's the traffic, the city, Mexico City, is much worse than Sao Paulo. It is very crowded. When we talk about the commuter, the one who goes from home to work and vice versa, takes about 4 hours. So it is a very busy city, and it is a very crowded city, and the traffic there is a problem. Okay, now we move to the pair work. Okay, we studied the previous lesson, if you still remember, comparing the cities and how good the cities are and how good the neighborhoods are. And here in this class, we're going to ask and answer about places you know. You can think about other places you have seen, or you have visited, or you have read about, or or you have some information about them, and also you need to use ideas in the article and the chart. Okay, you had an article and you had a chart. There you need to answer these questions and to find out about these places. Okay, do you know what the cost of living is like in Amman? For example, this question. If you go to Amman, the capital of Jordan, how expensive is it? How much it costs you to live in this area? Do you know information about that? Also, isn't as expensive as it is in Abu Dhabi? Do you think if you compare it, Amman to Abu Dhabi, do you think it is the same or different? You can search for that, and you can work with a colleague of yours, okay, or a member of your family, and find out about this comparison, Amman and Abu Dhabi. Okay, which do you think is more polluted, Sao Paulo or Mexico City? If you go back to the reading passage that we read in our previous lesson, in listen and discuss section, you can find out an answer to this question. Which do you think is more polluted? We have different kinds of pollution. We have air pollution, we have soil pollution, we have different kinds, as we said, soil pollution, water pollution, okay, and air pollution. Do you think that Sao Paulo or Mexico City, which one is more polluted? It has more pollution than the other. Okay, what are the things that make pollution? You can see the picture here. You can see some factories. They produce smoke, which is causing the air pollution. Okay, and also there are different kinds of pollution, as we said before. Which do you think is more polluted, Sao Paulo or Mexico City? Also, Sao Paulo is just as polluted as Mexico City. Is this statement true or not? Do you think that they are the same degree or rate of pollution? Okay, now also you need to answer this pair work exercise. You need to brainstorm a list of large cities that you know. Okay, then brainstorm a list of adjectives that typically describe the cities. If you talk about some cities, like any city you think, do you think it is polluted? This cloud here indicates that this city or this cloud is black, so it is polluted. There is air pollution causing the cloud to be black. Okay, and is the city that you are going to describe and talk about safe and clean? Is it safe and clean? It is also one of the characteristics that we can use to describe cities. Is it crowded? We talk about population in this city. We mean by that the number of people living in this area. Is this city having a lot of people? That means is it crowded? Is there a much population or not? Okay, is it dirty? Is this city considered as dirty or not? Okay, not clean. The opposite of clean is dirty. Also, is it dangerous to live in this town or this city? That means the crime rate, is it high or low? Okay, this is also one of the important things to consider. Also, is it noisy? That means there is a lot of noise, sound noise, for example, coming out from cars and factories or something like that. Is it noisy or not? This is one of the characteristics, as we said before, that can be considered when you try to think about a city. Okay, make a comparison about the living choices. Okay, for example, live in a house or in an apartment. When you finish comparing things or deciding about these cities, you can work with a colleague of yours and find out which is better, to live in a house or in an apartment. Okay, which is better in your opinion and in your friend's opinion? Is it better to live in a house or in an apartment? In a city or in a country? What do you think? Your opinion? Do you think that living in a city is better than living in a town? A city is bigger than a town. Okay. Also, work in an office or at home. Also, you can compare these two things. We can use the comparative form and superlative form. What do you think? You live in an office or at home. Okay, you work, sorry, in an office, or you work at home from distance. That means you use your computer to work there. Have a good schools, good public transportation. Is it important to you when you go to the town or the city or the neighborhood? Also, you have to consider that. Is it better to live in a house or an apartment? You can ask this question. If you are working with a colleague of yours, you can ask the similar question to this one. Give reasons for your choices. When you say, I prefer to live in a house rather than in an apartment, you need to give reasons. Okay, this is a very good chance for you to practice speaking and describing, telling your opinion. Okay, then ask another question in groups. Have one person in each group report back to the class about the group's answer. When you finish, you can tell your friends in the other groups about your conversation and what you came out in your discussion. Okay, you remember the previous lesson? It is a very good chance for you to have brainstorming from the reading passage that we read in the previous lesson. This is what we introduced in the previous lesson when we looked at the photo and read the text and guessed the name of the city and a country and the ways similar to different from where you live. And we told you before you read to decide if living in this city is the same as in your city, or it is different from yours. And you remember when we talked about Japan, we talked about the trains. This is a very good article, or this paragraph you can read and make brainstorming about that. Also, when we talked about this city, Hong Kong, we talked about Hong Kong and we told you and we gave you some information. It's a very good chance also to read this and to know more information and to compare it to the things that you are going to do with your colleague in your pair work. Also about passage C, Cambridge area in England. Is it one of the cities that you prefer more than the other? Is it the same? Is it as quiet as before or different? Where is that also? You can go back and read it and find more information. And also we had some information about Mexico City and we compared it to Sao Paulo in Brazil, and we had some pieces of information as well. And also in our class now, we are going to give you some hints about the vocabulary, because when you speak, when you work with your colleagues, you need to have active vocabulary, good words, to use them in your speaking. So let's have some of them that we took from the reading passages that we had in the listen and discuss section. Now, what is the word that we are asking you now, which means having a small distance from one side to another? Okay, like this one, you can see here the example. They cycle along the narrow streets. What is narrow street? Okay, narrow street means the streets that are not wide. Okay, here is the picture. Look at the street here. It's considered as narrow. Okay, narrow street. And here we go also to another noun, an examination of opinions made by asking people questions. If you make an examination to ask people questions, okay, this word is starting with S. What is it? You ask some people question, you go to many different people and ask them the same questions to get something like getting information about the general opinion of people in that area. We call it a survey. This is a survey. Okay, surveys showed that the city has the worst traffic in the world. Somebody had a study, which she made a survey, and the survey shows that the city has worst traffic in the world. That when we talk about one of the cities in the previous paragraphs. Okay, here also we talk about a noun starting with C, someone who regularly travels between work and home. If you go from work to home, we call this a commuting area. Okay, commuter. The person here is called commuter. The commuter is the person who goes from work to home every day, like for example, regularly. Okay, let's read an example. The average commuter spends 4 hours in traffic. Believe it or not, the average of commuter they spend going from home to work, it takes 4 hours. This is a very long time. So this indicates that there is much traffic in that city. Okay, here we talk about a place where people study for an undergraduate degree, that is university. Okay, this is the university. When you have finished high school, you go to university. It is home to one of the oldest universities in the world. When we talked about Cambridge in England, we described Cambridge as the oldest university in the world, one of the oldest universities in the world. A place where aircraft regularly take off and land. What is the place? What do you call this place? When an airplane land, okay, and when the airplane takes off, what is it? What do you call it? We call it an airport. This is the airport. We can describe airport as a place where aircraft regularly take off and land. Let's read it in an example. As we can see here, there is no need to travel to an airport. When we compared the airplane to the train in Japan, the bullet train, we found out that the train is very fast, but it's not faster than sound, and the fees that, or the rate the money you pay for the train is as expensive as you pay for the airplane. So there is no need to travel to an airport, okay? Because when you compare the train to the airplane, we found out that going by train is faster, because you don't need to go to the airport, and you don't need to go on procedures to get on the flight. The train is easier, and it will consume less time than that. Okay, and by this we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.